Hello, my name is Cameron Jernigan, and I'm a part of Group 1 for the 1110 lab, and this is our presentation in defense of GMOs. GMOs are genetically modified organisms. This means that they are living beings that have had their genetic code changed in some way. This can apply to both plants and animals. They are created through a process called genetic engineering. This process goes like this. First, scientists will identify the genes that gives an organism a desired trait. They will then copy that gene from an organism that has that trait and insert that genetic information into the DNA of another organism. They will then grow the new organism with that desired trait. The purpose of GMOs is to address the major challenges of our time. Some examples of these challenges include food security, climate change adaptation, population growth, and environmental sustainability. Here are a few examples of GMOs. Many GMO crops are used to make ingredients that Americans typically eat. Some examples of this include cornstarch, corn syrup, many of the oils that we use for cooking, such as corn, soybean, and canola oil. And then granulated sugar is also another example of something that we typically eat that comes from GMO crops. There's also a great number of fruits and vegetables that are offered in GMO varieties, such as potatoes, summer squash, apples, papayas, pineapples. The list could go on and on. There's a lot of plants that we consume that come in GMO varieties. As I said before, our group is in defense of GMOs because of the benefits that they can bring to humanity. Like I said before, there's many issues that our time is facing in terms of population growth, sustainability. And so because of this, we are in defense. GMOs can actually improve crop yields and efficiencies. They do this by allowing crops to resist pests and diseases, which reduces the needs for chemical pesticides. For example, farmers using genetically modified seeds experience fewer losses due to crop damage, and this ensures a more stable food supply for the growing population that the world has. Another advantage is in terms of the environment. So GMOs support sustainable agriculture by reducing the need for intensive farming practices. GMOs, or genetically modified crops that resist pests or tolerate herbicides, they require fewer chemical applications, and that decreases environmental harm. Additionally, techniques like no-till farming, which is enabled by GMOs, reduce greenhouse gas emissions and preserve soil health. The last benefit that we focused on that we really think shows why GMOs can be super helpful for the human population is the fact that they can provide nutritional and health benefits. So, like I said before, scientists will take desired traits from a certain organism and place it into another organism. And what this does, it allows us to enhance foods to address nutritional deficiencies. So, bioengineered foods like vitamin A enriched rice can be used to combat malnutrition in regions where deficiencies are common. Um, and this has been tested to make sure that it's safe before they are consumed. Rigorous testing ensures that GMOs meet safety standards before approval for human consumption. Experts at the FDA and other regulatory bodies worldwide do approve the consumption of GMOs, especially when it comes to making sure that populations around the world have access to enriched foods. In order to better understand the idea of GMOs and their presence in foods that we typically consume, we performed a lab in which we analyzed the DNA from certain foods to see if they had GMO DNA in them or not. So for our group, for group 1, we took a sample of Ruffles potato chips. This is just an image of the control gel that we used as the basis for ours. So for our lab, lanes 1, 3, and 5 have the food DNA with the plant primer, while lanes 2, 4, and 6 have the food DNA with the GMO primer. So we have an image of the expected results that we were supposed to get by using the Lay's potato chips. And as you can see, although our gels didn't show up as clearly as the expected results, we did um, we did get the results that we should have gotten. We have the DNA ladder on the side, and then from there you can see that our lanes, the lanes that our bands appear in, are the lanes that did not have the GMO DNA. So this means that Lay's potato chips do not actually have GMOs in them. Although we are for GMOs and our test results did not include GMOs, it was still really interesting to see what food products have that DNA in them. And it just helped us learn more about this concept. So, there is an ongoing argument on whether or not GMO should be allowed to be consumed, and many of the counter arguments have to deal with health risk, impacts on the environment, and unintentional allergies. Um, a journal in the Environmental Science of Europe found evidence of toxicity, suggesting potential liver and kidney damage from GMO food consumption. The same journal also shows evidence of a lack of standardized protocols in evaluating the safety of genetically modified foods, which could lead to inconsistencies in approval processes. Um, and then in terms of the environment, genetically modified crops that are genetically engineered to be insect resistant and produce a certain type of toxin can lead to the selective breeding of pests that are immune to the toxins. So what this does is it causes stronger chemicals to be used, which can damage the environment. Also, under this point is the fact that toxins in genetically modified crops designed to target specific pests can unintentionally harm beneficial insects like pollinators and natural predators, and this causes a disruption in the ecosystem. In terms of unintentional allergies, genetic modifications could introduce new allergies into foods, and this can increase allergic or allergenic risk for people who have allergies. This could pose health hazards for sensitive individuals. And these are the main points that are often argued when people talk about being against GMOs. However, as we said before, there's numerous studies from the past decades that have found no significant evidence linking GMOs to health risks. Um, Also, research in Nature Biotechnology indicates that genetically modified crops can reduce the need for chemical pesticides, which eliminates the argument that chemical pesticides will harm the environment. Um, GMOs can decrease environmental pollution by promoting sustainable agriculture. Again, this comes into play with like no-till farming, which preserves the soil. And the study highlights that genetically modified crops have contributed to a reduction in pesticide use by 37%, which has increased crop yields by 22% and boosted farmer profits by 68%. Also, in terms of supporting GMOs, the WHO states that genetically modified foods currently available on the international market have passed safety assessments and are not likely to be risky for human health. Again, the FDA and other regulatory associations around the world have studied and made sure that these foods are safe for human consumption. There's no effects on human health with the consumption of foods, and the general population in countries have approved the GMOs and have been consuming them and have remained healthy. So the key takeaways from our argument is that there are many misconceptions about GMOs and the effects that they have on human population and the environment. GMOs are used to help solve global issues, the big ones being providing food security for the more rapidly growing population. And then another big point of our argument is the fact that it can provide nutrition for populations that don't have access to more nutritional foods. Research shows that there are no significant health risks associated with the consumption of GMOs. GMOs can decrease the use of chemical pesticides, which in turn results in increased crop yields and which boosts the profits of farmers and other agricultural workers. Overall, GMOs provide a number of benefits that seem to outweigh any risks that could be associated with them. This makes them a valuable solution for the issues that modern populations face. Thank you. Oh, actually, here are our sources.